Tonight's dinner was incredible. I made Mississippi beef angel hair pasta. It sounds a little weird, but it's absolutely amazing. First, to your pan, you're going to start cooking some ground beef. I'm doing 1.5 pounds, or you could go up to 2 pounds, I think. Then you're going to get a pot of water boiling for your angel hair pasta. Once that meat's about done cooking, you're going to drain all that grease. Then I added about 2 tablespoons of ranch seasoning, and then 1 packet of au jus mix. Then I just tossed it up for a bit. Then grab some unsalted beef broth and add 1.5 cups of this. Just mix this up really well, and it should start to thicken right away. Then you're gonna grab some pepperoncinis, and I added about 1/4 cup of that juice to that. And then I'm adding just a few of the pepperoncinis without the tops on them, and then mix it all up again. It should look like this whenever you get that all done. It is so amazing. If you want more sauce to that too, you could probably add another 1/2 cup. Then you're gonna cook that angel hair pasta. I'm doing a whole pound. Once that's finished cooking, you're gonna add that to your meat. Then just toss it up and you are ready to serve. Let's make a simple and delicious lunch for me and the kids. First, I melted 3 tablespoons of butter in the microwave, and I'm adding some garlic and herb seasoning to that. Now you're going to grab a muffin pan and then spread that garlic butter on 8 of the muffin holes. Then you're going to grab a can of the flaky layer biscuits, the jumbo ones, and now you're just going to split those in half. Try and be as even with it as you can. Then you're going to add that to the bottom of your muffin pan, and then I went up the sides a little bit too and flattened it out. Now grab some roast beef. I split mine in half and then folded it up and then placed it on my biscuit. Then you can grab whatever kind of cheese you want. We're going with provolone cheese, splitting that in half as well, and just adding it to the top of the roast beef. Now grab another biscuit and then split that in half, and then place that right on the top. I smashed mine in there pretty good too. Now you're going to take the rest of that garlic butter mixture and then spread it over the top of each one. Bake this in the oven at 350 degrees for 15 to 16 minutes. Then I'm making this little packet of au jus mix, just as per package directions. Whenever those little French dip biscuits come out of the oven, just let them chill in the pan for a bit, and then they should pop right out. I had zero trouble getting those out of the pan. These really came out so perfect. This little lunch was so good. And you can change out the meats and the cheeses here as much as you want. I highly recommend this one. Let me know if you guys give this one a try. Tonight I'm going to show you how we make our really simple burritos. These are Harper's favorite. She asks for them all the time. First, I started cooking 1.5 pounds of ground beef, and then I'm just making some instant rice in the microwave. I'm taking 3 cups of rice and then 3 cups of low sodium chicken broth, and then I'm seasoning it really well with all those seasonings right there, and then adding 1/2 stick of butter to this. I just microwaved mine for around 8 minutes or so. Now I'm going to shred up our cheese. I'm just doing Colby Jack, but obviously you can do whatever kind of cheese you want. And then once that ground beef is about done cooking, you're just going to drain all of that grease and then add your taco seasoning with the water. And now it's time to assemble those burritos. And you could always add beans to your burritos. My kids just don't like them, so they always have rice in theirs, and it is really good. So I just put the rice down along with that ground beef and then top it with the cheese and whatever kind of sauce that you want. And some of them I just leave without sauce, and the kids just dip them in whatever they want. I usually dip mine in some sour cream. Then you just fold up those sides and then roll it up just like this. Then I always use a really large electric griddle, but you could just use a skillet. And then you toast those seam side down first, just for a couple minutes on each side, and they are finished. These are amazing. Don't worry about it right now, babe. Yes, ma'am. Hold on. No, the pan's a little too hot, baby girl. You can do it next time when we make like a cake or something.
I just want to see it. You're not going to
Let's make one of the easiest crock-pot dinners that is also so delicious. Just add a couple pounds of chicken to your crock-pot. Season however you want. I'm doing some garlic and herb seasoning and some onion and herb seasoning. Then add 2 cans of cream of chicken soup, and then 1 cup of chicken broth, and then 1 packet of country gravy mix. Just mix this up a bit, and then you're going to set this on high for about 4 hours until that chicken is ready to shred. Along with this chicken, I'm also making just some really simple mashed potatoes. I definitely kind of cheat on these potatoes, so I add 1 block of softened cream cheese to my pan, add those mashed potatoes that are already cooked from the store, and then a half of a cup of sour cream. Just mix this up really well, and then top it with grated Parmesan cheese, and then a few slabs of butter on the top. Bake that at 350 degrees until golden brown at the top. And when that chicken is finished cooking, you're just going to shred it up. It should take no time at all. We are serving ours over mashed potatoes, but you could also just add some egg noodles to that. It's really delicious that way too. Chicken and gravy in the crock pot is so delicious. I hope you guys give it a try. Let me know if you do. We're making one of our favorite dinners again. We're just doing some roasted potatoes and smash burger tacos, and you guys know that we love this one. I've shared it so many times, but it's so good. First, I'm grabbing some russet potatoes and then cubing up those very small. You're gonna wash those and then put a couple tablespoons of oil with those. Now just season them however you want really. I'm doing a packet of ranch seasoning and then some Slap Your Mama seasoning, and just toss those up really well. Then you're gonna grab a large sheet pan, and I always line mine with some parchment paper just for an easier cleanup. Spread those out on your pan, and then you're gonna bake these at 425 degrees for 45 minutes to an hour, and make sure you flip those every once in a while just to make sure everything's nice and crispy. Then I'm grabbing 2 pounds of ground beef and just season it again however you want. I did this barbecue blend seasoning. Just mix that up really well, and you're gonna form them into about 1.5 to 2 inch balls. Then I take these street taco shells, and then you're just gonna put your ball down and then smash those into your pan just like that. My griddle is set at 350 degrees, and I cook those for about 3 minutes and then flip them over for another minute or so until that cheese gets nice and melted, and then I just set them on some paper towels to drain. Then once those potatoes are nice and crispy, go ahead and take those out, and then you just add whatever toppings you want to those smashed burger tacos. We did some lettuce, and then I always do that burger sauce. These are so good. Tonight's dinner was easy and so delicious. First, you're going to grab a pack of pork chops. Then you're going to grab the seasonings that you're going to use. I'm doing a garlic and herb seasoning and an onion and herb seasoning. Take those pork chops and you're going to cube those up just like this into little bite-sized pieces. Now you're going to season them, and I also am adding some pepper to mine as well. When you get those seasoned well, you're going to add a tablespoon or so of some cornstarch. Just toss that up really well. Then grab a really large skillet and melt a half of a stick of butter. While that's melting, you're going to make your sauce. I'm doing a half of a cup of honey, a couple tablespoons of balsamic vinegar, and about 3 tablespoons of soy sauce, a half of a cup of chicken broth, and then 2 tablespoons of minced garlic and about a tablespoon of cornstarch. Just whisk that up really well. Once that pan is nice and hot, you're going to throw those pork bites in there. Let those cook at a medium to high heat for 3 minutes, and then flip them over for another 3 minutes, and then toss around for about a minute. Then just dump that sauce in and then let it boil for just a bit, and it should thicken right away. I'm serving mine over some white rice and then sprinkling some green onions on the top. These pork bites are amazing. I hope you guys give this one a try. Let me know if you do. Let's make another incredibly easy crock-pot dinner. First, to your crock-pot, you're going to add 2 pounds of frozen meatballs. You're going to add this whole can of pineapple chunks with the juices into that crock-pot. Then add around 1/4 of a cup of soy sauce to this, about a tablespoon of some rice vinegar, a couple teaspoons of ginger paste, and then around a cup of barbecue sauce. Then I'm also adding a couple tablespoons or so of minced garlic, and then around 1/4 of a cup of brown sugar. I also added 1 sliced bell pepper and about a half of a red onion sliced up too. Just mix this up really well, and then you're going to cook this on high for around 4 hours, or you could do low around 6 to 7 hours. And when that is finished, right at the end, I'm adding a cornstarch slurry to mine. I did 1.5 tablespoons of cornstarch with water, and then just mix that in there, and just wait like 5 to 10 minutes until it thickens up. Then I just made some instant rice in the microwave, and I'm serving those meatballs over that rice. And then make sure to put a lot of that sauce on there, and then top it with some green onions. My entire family devoured this one. Let's make another really easy crock-pot dinner. First, in my crock-pot, I'm adding a couple pounds of cubed up chicken, and then just seasoning it well with some garlic and herb seasoning, onion and herb seasoning, and a little bit of Italian seasoning. Just mix that well, and then make sure it's all flattened out at the bottom like that. Then to a separate bowl, I'm adding 1 can of cream of chicken soup, then 1/4 to 1/2 of a cup of milk, about a tablespoon of Dijon mustard, and then those seasonings from earlier. Just mix that up really well and then set it aside for a minute. And then now on top of that chicken, you're going to add around a half of a pound of diced up ham, or you could add those little cubes of ham too. And then I'm adding around a half of a pound of Swiss cheese to the top of that. And you're not going to mix anything here. Then you're going to pour that sauce right over the Swiss cheese, and still don't mix it or anything. And now you're going to take a box of stuffing mix and just sprinkle that all over the top. And now melt 1 stick of butter and then drizzle that over the top. Then you're going to cook this on low for around 5 hours. And then you are ready to enjoy this crock-pot chicken cordon bleu. We're just serving it over some rice this time. We absolutely love this one. I hope you guys give it a try. Let me know if you do. Tonight's dinner was a really easy one-pan dinner. This one only took around 15 minutes to make, and it was so delicious. First, I'm cooking 1.5 pounds of ground beef, and then once that ground beef is about cooked, I'm going to drain all of that grease. And then you're going to grab 1 pound of orzo. Add that to your skillet as well, and just keep tossing this up. And I also added a few tablespoons of butter. Just toast that up really well, and then once that butter is about melted, I'm adding this whole carton of beef broth, so 4 cups total. And then I'm adding some pepper cheese to mine. I just cut the tops off and then just roughly chop those up. I'm doing around 5 or 6 of those, and you can do more or less, whatever there. And then you're going to grab some ranch seasoning. I'm adding a couple tablespoons of that and just toss this up. And then you're going to add a package of au jus gravy mix. Mix this up really well, and I almost forgot to add some of the pepperoni juice. I did around 1/4 of a cup of that. And then you are going to let this boil for 8 to 10 minutes until that orzo is cooked through. Just make sure that you keep tossing it up so it doesn't stick to the bottom. This one pan Mississippi orzo was amazing. I highly recommend. All right, I am obsessed with this easy lunch that I just made. I just got done eating it. It's incredibly easy to make too. I just took this box of frozen perogis, put those on a large sheet pan along with a smoked sausage. I just sliced it up, and then a bell pepper. I sprayed mine with a little oil and tossed up, and then I'm adding some pesto to mine. I did a little over half of this jar. Just toss it up until everything is nice and coated. Then I baked it at 400 degrees for 15 minutes, took it out, and I flipped the pierogies over for another 15 minutes. And then right when it came out, I topped it with some freshly shredded Parmesan cheese and a little bit of red pepper flakes. Me and Lena just tore this up. It is absolutely incredible. So simple. I highly recommend this one. Let me know if you give it a try. I shared this dinner years ago. It is such a big hit with my family, and it's so incredibly easy to make. First, take a couple pounds of chicken or so, and you're going to cube that up and then season it well however you want, really. Then I'm taking 2 boxes of this rice-a-roni. It's the long grain and wild rice one. That one is so good. You're just going to pour that over your chicken and then save those little packets for a minute. And now to a separate bowl, you're going to add 3 cups of chicken broth, and then you're going to add that seasoning mixture into that broth. Just mix that up really well, and now you're just going to pour that over the rice and the chicken. Just make sure everything is covered, and this time I am adding some butter to mine. So I'm doing around a half of a stick or so of butter. It's just kind of what I had in my fridge, and just putting those little pads right on top. And now you're going to take some Parmesan cheese and freshly shred that over the top. Bake this in your oven at 375 degrees for around an hour. I always check mine at 45 minutes. If it's still too liquidy, just put it in for another 15. Let that sit for 5 minutes or so, and then enjoy. This one is so good and so easy. Tonight for dinner, we are making a kid favorite. This one is really simple and quick to make. First, grab a couple pounds of chicken thighs, and you're going to cube those up nice and small, and then season them however you want. I'm just doing some garlic powder, onion powder, and some pepper. Then grab a large skillet and set that to a medium to high heat, and then add a little oil to that. Then to a separate bowl, you're going to add around a half of a cup of honey. If you want, you could go less. It was pretty sweet. And then a half of a cup of soy sauce, a tablespoon of sesame oil, a couple teaspoons of ginger paste, a tablespoon of rice vinegar, and a couple tablespoons of ketchup. Just mix this up really well, and you're going to set this aside. And now that skillet should be nice and hot, so you're going to add that chicken in. Cook that for around 3 minutes on one side, and then flip over and cook another 3 minutes. And then you can just toss around, but it is going to cook a little longer in the sauce. Now add a couple tablespoons of minced garlic and just toss up until fragrant. And now grab that sauce from earlier, and you're just going to pour this in and just toss it up really well. And then once it starts to have a nice simmer to it, then I'm adding 3 packages of these ramen noodles, and you don't need the little packet of seasoning, so just set that aside. And I am breaking my ramen up a bit too. Just toss that around in the sauce for a bit, until everything's a little coated. And now you're going to add 2 cups of chicken broth. Let that boil for just a couple minutes, and then you should start to be able to separate those noodles, and then just cook another couple minutes. Those noodles will absorb that sauce, and you can always add some broccoli in here or any other kind of veggie. We just honestly only have baby carrots in the fridge, and I didn't think that would go very well. And you could top it with some green onions, but again, we don't have any. Either way, this dinner is so delicious and a big hit with the kids. Let's make a delicious and kind of fun dinner. First, take a large pork roast. I think mine was around 4 pounds. And you're going to pierce that and then season it really well. I'm doing smoked paprika, garlic powder, and onion powder. Then add around 1/4 cup or so of some Worcestershire sauce, and then some minced garlic, and then around 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup of brown sugar, and then around 1 cup of barbecue sauce. And you could always change this up a little bit. You will need to cook that around 6 to 7 hours until it's ready to shred. Then once that pork roast is about done, I'm making some really simple mac and cheese. First, I'm cooking a pound of pasta, and you're going to want to undercook that just a bit. I just went a minute under than usual. And then I shredded up my cheeses, and once that pasta is done, you're going to add around 1/2 stick of butter to this. Just toss it up until melted, and around 1 cup to 1.5 cups of heavy cream, and then you're going to slowly add in some of that cheese, and make sure to save a cup or 2 for the top. Just mix this up until everything is smooth and melted, and I am adding a little bit of paprika here and some pepper and a little more of the heavy cream. You want it a nice creamy texture. Then I'm just taking a baking pan and adding that macaroni and cheese to that, and then topping it with the rest of that cheese. Then I'm baking it at 400 degrees until golden and bubbly at the top. Mine was around 10 to 15 minutes. I do wish I went a little bit longer just to get a little bit nicer of a crust, but this was so creamy and delicious. We are just serving that mac and cheese in some bowls and putting that pulled pork right over the top. This dinner was absolutely delicious. The kids and I loved it. I hope you guys give this one a try. Let me know if you do. Let's make the most delicious 1-pan pasta. This pasta is so incredible and really easy to make. First, I'm taking 12 ounces of bacon and I'm chopping mine up. And I know the package said 24 ounces, but I'm only going to use half of it. Then grab a large skillet and add that bacon to it. I always cook mine at a low to medium heat. While that bacon is cooking, you're going to chop up a couple pounds of chicken. Now, you can really use whatever kind of seasonings that you want here. I am going to season mine with some onion and herb seasoning, some Slap Your Mama seasoning, some garlic and herb seasoning, and then also some paprika. Make sure to season very well. Then add around 1 tablespoon of some cornstarch to this, and then toss it up really well. You need to set this aside till your bacon is done cooking. And now you're going to start shredding your cheese. I'm going with Monterey Jack cheese today, but you can do whatever kind of cheese that you want. I'm only going to use about 2 to 3 cups of that cheese. Now once that bacon is about halfway cooked or so, maybe a little bit more, I'm adding a diced onion to mine. I love bacon and onions together, but if you don't like onions at all, just don't add that in. Once that bacon's nice and crispy and the onion is translucent, you're going to remove it from the pan, and make sure to leave some of that bacon grease in there to cook your chicken in. And once you add that chicken in, you're going to cook it for 3 minutes, and then flip it over and cook it for another 3 minutes. And then I just toss it around until nice and golden. Once that's finished, you're going to remove this from the pan as well. Then you're going to deglaze that pan with just a little chicken broth. Now you can add whatever kind of pasta here that you want. We are doing this kind, and we're doing 12 ounces. You could go up to a pound here. Then add the rest of that carton of chicken broth, so it's 4 cups total, and then those seasonings from earlier. You're going to cook your pasta for 8 to 10 minutes until it's about al dente, and then you're going to add around 1/2 cup of heavy cream and just toss up and add your cheese in. So I'm doing around 2 to 3 cups of cheese. Just mix this until nice and smooth, and now you're going to add that chicken and then that bacon and onions back in your pan, and then mix it up really well. So everything's nice and combined. I'm topping mine with a little bit of green onions. This pasta is the most delicious pasta ever. I hope you guys give this one a try. Let me know if you do. Let's make another easy and really delicious dinner. First, take around a 3-pound chuck roast and add that to your crock pot. Then you're going to season it with some garlic powder, onion powder, and then some pepper. Then dice up an onion and throw that in as well. Now add around 1/2 cup of soy sauce, a couple tablespoons of rice vinegar, around 3 teaspoons of some ginger paste, 2 tablespoons of sesame oil, a couple tablespoons of minced garlic, a couple tablespoons of gochujang sauce, and then around 1/2 cup of brown sugar. Just mix that up a bit. Cook this on high for around 4 to 5 hours, or low 6 to 7 hours. I then took mine out and removed all the fat I could, and then I shredded it up. You could just serve this over some rice, but tonight we are making some Korean style nachos. I'm just grabbing some tortilla chips, adding those to a sheet pan, and then shredding up some Monterey Jack cheese. Then you're going to put that Korean beef roast right over those chips, and then top it with all of that cheese. And then I broiled mine until everything was nice and melted and a little crispy around the edges. Then I topped it with some green onions and this sriracha mayo. These nachos were so incredible, and the whole family loved them.